gardeners, Amy here with Garden Up. Today I'm going to be doing my own spring cleanup, and I'm going to be doing a few things differently this year, given what I just learned from Dr. Talamy and reading all of his books and all of those things. I'm going to try to do a spring cleanup in a ecologically responsible manner. So I've left all of my maple leaves that fell last year, partially because nature forced me to and snowed on them, but whatever, that's beside the point. Normally when I rake my maple leaves in the fall, the pile is just absolutely massive, like several feet high and a couple of tarps full, etc. But so what I want to do is, as I'm raking them up this year, I'm going to put them on a tarp and we're just going to see how much is actually broken down, because I'm thinking a lot of them are already decomposed and in the soil. I'm really surprised at how few there are left in the beds. Like some parts of my flower beds have almost no leaves at all. And there were leaves. I know there were because I raked them into the flower beds in the middle of the winter. So that's going to be part of my experiment. So part of my cleanup is going to be underneath the cherry tree. I need to clean up these leaves and dispose of them because of the fungus that was on my cherry tree last year. Same with the plum tree, the prunus. All of my prunus trees had shot hole fungus at the end of last year. So I need to clean up all those leaves to keep it sanitary, to get that fungus out of here. And probably the next week or two, I'm going to be spraying my trees with copper, because that's the organic fungal treatment for that. So, and then the rest of the flower beds, I'm going to clean up all the leaves. And then we're going to cut all of the pithy stems, but we're going to leave some of the pithy stems for the pollinators that complete their life cycle inside them. So that's going to be different from how I used to do things. And then we're just going to kind of see how it looks. And I'm going to keep an eye on things throughout the years to, you know, watch the critters growing in my yard. Some of you might remember from my winter cleanup video when I actually intentionally put leaves and pine needles on my heucheras and a few other plants. It seems that they appreciated that. Look at this color. Same thing, they liked it. A hellebore right here. Under here somewhere is my regertia. Not entirely sure where it is because they die all the way back. For things like, these are asters, and so this would be the pithy stems that we're talking about where bees and things lay their eggs inside. So rather than cutting it all the way to the ground like I always have, I'm going to leave some height. This is what Dr. Talamy said to do, so it looks intentional. It still looks tidy, but it leaves enough for the bees and other critters to lay their eggs inside the stems. Yeah, so inside these stems is what's called pith. That's why they're called pithy stems. It's almost like a styrofoam in some cases. There we go. So this stuff in here, it's really soft and squishy, and that is where some mama bees will lay their eggs, either when that decomposes and goes away and leaves a hollow stem behind, or it wouldn't surprise me if some of the critters eat the pith. I'm not entirely sure. This is not my area of expertise yet. I'm working on it. But that's where the mama bees will lay their eggs, and what they do is the hollow stem ones, they crawl in there, and then they lay the egg, and then they pack a little lunch for their babies, either pollen or whatever it is they feed their larvae, and then they seal it, like mud or leaves or whatever. They seal it up, and then they put a new egg in there with a new lunch, and then a new seal, and they layer their eggs, and then the babies, they hatch, and they have their larval stage, and then they pupate, and then when the time is right, they chew their way out, I think horizontally through the stem, and then they continue their life cycles, and they finish their life as an adult, and the process repeats. But they need these stems in order to do that, and so that's why I'm starting to kind of get on board with this new movement of leaving a little bit of mess in the garden. We'll just kind of see where it goes, you know? So my strawberries, I don't cover them, I don't do anything to them for overwintering. I know some people do, and that's fine. I don't think you're hurting them by covering them. But most species that I know of are hardy, but they do get leaves on them. But I like to uncover them in the spring and get them nice and clean so that the airflow and the sun and can get in there, and I have a healthier plant because there's not a lot of decomposition going on right around the base of the plants. Another trick is to get the bulk of the stuff out and then come back and detail. Don't try to detail at the same time. So I've already done videos on spring cleanup step by step, and as well as detailing a garden step by step. So if you're interested in those, check out my channel. They're in my video list. So this is Rudbeckia, which is a native, but given how flat these stems were, I don't think pollinators are going to make much use of them. They're also rotted, so I don't think they're going to do any good. So I just cut those all down. The other thing about this pithy stem business is that it's not that there's pollinators in here right now. It's that they need the 1-year-old stems. So these have to stay here for a full year. Pollinators will lay their eggs next fall. The following spring is when they will emerge, and then these stems are done and can be cut all the way down. But it's basically a full year commitment to leave these on, which is probably another reason why a lot of people don't do it. But we'll see. We'll see how it works. I think we can find a happy medium between aesthetics and ecological responsibility. Will be pruning my roses, but we're not quite there yet. I don't really have time today either, so we'll do that maybe next week. Okay. Daylilies, again, not native, so I don't think pollinators are going to use them. I'll leave a few though, just to see. I don't know if I'll ever see the pollinators or not. I really have no idea. This is all new to me. Okay, so echinacea is a native, which means I'm pretty sure that some bees are going to use it. So this is one that I'm going to leave tall. This is Echinacea purpurea magnus. It's one of the tall ones, obviously. It also reseeds profusely. The birds have been eating these, and they've been spreading them, and a whole bunch of them came up last year, which was really cool. So I gave a lot away, And I'm gonna plant some more right now because why not? But then I'm gonna leave the stalks really tall. If I can do this with the baby. This is a lot harder with one hand, isn't it? The other thing I'm going to do with these is bundle them up, just tie them in a bundle, and then just leave them in a corner somewhere, like back by the compost bins, but not in the compost bins. That way more bees can use them if they find them. This still looks pretty tidy, but it does the job. It still leaves this available for insects to use. It's still quite a bit messier than I normally leave things, but I think it'll be acceptable as far as people walking past. I don't lose my curb appeal this way. So milkweed, same thing. This is a native plant, and it's one that's vital to several insects' life cycles. So I'm going to leave this fairly tall. So now this is the zebra grass that we transplanted last year. The stake was to hold it up because it just really wasn't liking being transplanted. But zebra grass is an Asian species, which means I don't think any of our insects are going to use it. So down to the ground it goes. There you go, just like that. And this is just going to go to the debris pile with the rest of our leaves. Asiatic and Oriental lilies, same thing. I don't think our bees are going to use these, so sometimes they just kind of pop out of the ground like that. And then they completely disappear, which can be a problem if you forget where you planted things. But I'll leave a couple alone. This is more of a marker than anything else, so I don't lose them or dig them up planting something else. This is not all of the leaves. There's still a few more spots, but there's also a lot of lawn clippings and other debris from the beds that is mixed in here as well. And this is probably about a quarter of the mass of what this tree usually drops. So that's pretty cool. Most of it's already gone. Yay. That's that part of the experiment. Let's continue on. So this has definitely been an interesting experiment. I'm dealing with myself a little bit because I'm finding that even though this is the best thing for the environment, I'm like, do I like the way my yard looks right now? And so I find myself trying to still make it look perfect because that's what I'm used to. As long as the mulch is fluffed, meaning you run an expandable rake over it, it just looks fresh and new, then it absolutely looks intentional. And also, as long as the corners and the edges of the beds are nice and clean, what goes on inside is a little less noticeable. If your edges look really messy, then it's really hard to look past that, and then you'll start to see all the other imperfections, or supposed imperfections in the yard. But as long as the edges are nice and clean and your corners are nice and crisp, your eye can maybe look over and miss some of the other mess. So I'm finding that as long as I keep the edges nice, I can kind of just ignore some of the other mess and the imperfections. It's really weird leaving the sticks long, because I've always cut them all the way down because everything must be just so perfect, tidy, da 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 da. So that's a little weird, but it does, again, look intentional, so I think I can live with that. I'm now bundling up the stuff I did cut off. I'm gonna tie it all together. I've got some twine and my pruners here, and I'm just gonna kind of roll it together. Not tightly. I don't think it'll work if it's all tight. I think it needs to be in a loose bundle so that the insects can, you know, get in there and everything. And then, yeah, I'm gonna put this next to my compost bins, so it's out of sight and out of mind for us. There we go, just like that. But useful for pollinators. And then I'm also thinking I'll come back in a couple of years and look at all these and see if I can see any of the holes made by the pollinators and see which plants are the most valuable and the most useful for the insects. So that'll be an interesting experiment. Watch for that in a couple of years. We'll see what happens there. You know, I could almost make like a flower arrangement out of these and just put it in a vase or something on my patio, and it would be really cute, and then put it by the compost. I have no idea. This is so interesting. And I'm spending way too much time fiddling and trying to make it perfect. I could just bundle it all up and it'd be fine. And as my very Italian grandmother would say, there, that's pretty cool. So the rest of these I'm just gonna bundle up. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and thanks for learning along with me. If you enjoyed it, please remember to hit the like button. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them below in the comments. I'll do my best to answer as best as I am qualified to do so. And with that said, everyone, thanks again for watching, and we will see you in the garden.